Hello, Candice. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
My name is Kelly C. I am a licensed professional counselor. I have been in this particular line of work for over 10 years. As far as my educational background, I hold two master's degree, one in the field of psychology and another in clinical mental health counseling. I am so happy that you're here today, and I'm very excited to learn more about you. Why don't you start with telling me more about yourself? Anything you'd want to share? Nothing is off limits or too much.
Okay. Um, well, I am 40 years old. I have two daughters and three dogs. I'm super busy right now. I'm working full time and I go to school full time. I've been under so much stress. I don't even know necessarily where to begin, but that's my life in a nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only are you a mom of two daughters, you say,
Yeah.
and you have dogs, and you're working full time, and you're a full time student. That is absolutely a lot on your plate. Absolutely. That is extremely valid. Um, Looking into that, kind of exploring on that topic, would you say there are any specific key items or moments or areas in your life that encourage you to seek out professional services?
For sure. I need some help with like time management. I think just because I am so busy and I've been under a lot of stress lately at work. It's putting me in a pretty like low mood at times. And I've been bumping heads with my older daughter because of it. Yeah, I just want to be the best that I can. And I feel like if I got some help right now, maybe that would help put me in a better position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only do you have a lot on your plate, that can be really hard to try to manage time with those items. Not every day is the same. And so, even sometimes when it feels like we make a game plan, something may come up during the day and send that schedule out of whack, which certainly adds to the stress. Not only do we have the stress of juggling all those things and experiencing them, but then our time slips away from us or something comes about and just brings more stress when that schedule doesn't go as we planned. And that can certainly contribute to feelings of a low mood. Not only are you stressed and you have a lot of things going on, but you have expectations for yourself, and maybe you feel like you're not meeting those expectations, and that's going to certainly bring your mood down versus feeling accomplished or feeling like things went the way you intended for them to. And anytime we ever have issues with family, loved ones, children, that certainly is hard to deal with no matter the situation. So I completely hear what you're saying. And I completely understand that you've got a lot going on. And so I am very happy that you reached out because I do feel like that we can certainly work together and we can help with these issues. Um, when do you feel like these issues may have started or come about? Are they relatively new? Have they been present for a while? And what do you feel makes these issues better or worse? Anything in particular helps alleviate some stress? Anything adds additional stress?
I would say probably most of my life I've had um, a lot of stress, you know? So I would say like since childhood really, and I'm not exaggerating. Um, so the older I've gotten and the more responsibilities I've taken on, I've just noticed it's like kind of taking a toll on me. Especially with my current role now at work. There's just way too much that one person can handle, and my employer doesn't seem to get that. So I would definitely say that the trigger for me is work. However, there's nothing I can do about it because obviously I have to have a job, I have bills to pay. I'm a single mom. So there's just a lot of pressure for one person. Um, I would say that most recently, maybe in the last 6 months at work, I've noticed more stress. Um, Definitely had some like more doctor's visits just with my primary treating physician. That's also part of why I'm here as well. It was recommended by my doctor. And then as far as like things that alleviate my stress, maybe like exercise, walking the dogs. Um, I don't really have too many hobbies right now that I like have like time for.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I just try to do what I can. And I'm so sorry. Was there something else that you?
No, that was everything. You answered
Okay.
that wonderfully. I do have some additional questions. Is there excuse me, have you tried any previous methods of professional treatment in the past? And if so, did that help any? Did it not feel like it helped at all? Or what has been your history with professional services in your life?
Yeah. So I have received counseling services before. I just don't feel that the counselor was a good fit for me. She was actually pretty judgmental, which I thought was kind of strange.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that in a counseling session,
yeah,
but she was, and so it kind of turned me off from that. And so I really felt like I could have like benefited from those services at that time, but again, it just kind of pushed me away, so I stopped seeing her. Aside from that, my doctor like did prescribe some medication in the past, and it did provide some relief, but I just don't really feel comfortable taking medication. Um, I take medication for other things, and so I would just rather not have so many different things in my body at one time. Um, so yeah, I've just been kind of like lingering and haven't really addressed my issues. I've just been keeping busy, not really by choice, but I would say that keeping busy sometimes does help. But when you're not actually addressing your problem, it makes it worse in the long run.
absolutely, absolutely, yes. I Well, it is unfortunate to hear that you did have that experience. Not everybody is going to work well with another person. Unfortunately, sometimes that does happen. And so I am sorry that you did have that experience, but I am very glad that it didn't discourage you from still seeking that person, that fit for yourself to provide that treatment, especially because, as you stated, you have tried medication before. And while it may have provided some temporary relief, there is still that long term thinking of, what is the long term plan of this medication? Will I always have to be on this? Will I have to increase the dosage? How will this affect me long term? Can I manage this? And so those are completely valid and real ideas and thoughts and questions. And I'm just really happy and excited that you're still in a space where you can explore mentally just some things that maybe you could do um, within your own mind and your own capabilities to help manage. And so I want to thank you for sharing all that information with me and giving me some more details. It has certainly helps me to better understand what you're thinking and what you're going through, and how we can tailor our therapy to try to help best suit your particular issues and concerns that you would like to address and receive some help for. Um, to kind of go on a little bit of a rambling tangent, I use a method of therapy called existential therapy. Essentially, this practice means that we will explore what life means to you and how you currently use concepts like your individual freedom, choice, and responsibility to create the life you want. Existential therapy focuses on themes of life and death, isolation and community, meaning or uselessness, and freedom for the self. In particular, we'll focus on using two techniques during our sessions. And our first technique looks at exploring meaning and purpose in your life. This allows us to uncover what gives you meaning and what reasonings do you have to live intentionally. Your purpose, your goals, your passions, your values, your expectations, those are going to be highlighted themes throughout our sessions. We want to look for those reasons to look forward to every day, the things of what keeps me going. We want to bring those to life, and we want to get rooted deep in those. Then we're going to move towards an existential reflection. Basically, all this means is that we just want to understand your beliefs, your values, your attitudes, and your behaviors towards those themes in your life, um, those meaningful and responsible categories of your life. And then lastly, we're going to tie those together with a method called responsibility awareness. This just brings awareness to your personal choices, your personal actions, your personal behaviors, and how do those items, how do what you're doing daily or what you're thinking daily, how do they affect those meaningful things of your life? What choice and what freedom do you have in that moment that is going to affect that meaningful idea and concept that we're focusing on? And so, just a lot of introspective questions about your existence and your purpose and your drive, and just what's going to be your thing to hold on to keep you going. That's going to be a big theme of our sessions going forward. And so, going forward here, do you have any questions about what any of that means or what that would look like, or just any concerns you might have?
Um, no, I don't think I have any questions at this point, but I do appreciate all of the explanation that you provided. That definitely helps a lot. I'm one of those people, like, I don't just like doing something just because someone says to do it. Having that additional information like gives a good purpose and meaning to what we're doing. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Going into this here, we're just going to kind of touch on these therapy methods here. We don't have to go too far in deep since this is our first meeting, but just to kind of give you an idea of what future sessions with me would look like. In terms of that meaning and perfect purpose idea, what would you say gives your life the most meaning or the most purpose? What is that one standout central idea that is the most meaningful and purposeful to you?
Um, I'm not sure about an idea, but my life like revolves around my kids. Um, yeah, everything that I do, every choice I make is for them, for me too, but it's they depend on me more than anybody else. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I would definitely have to say that they're my purpose.
Okay, that's wonderful. That is an extremely strong foundation, especially for a mother and especially for a single mother. Your children are essentially your lifeline as to what is going to keep you going and what gives purpose and meaning to why am I doing these things every day? What am I seeing? And then the growth in life of those children is a fruitful product of those consistent efforts, whether they feel enjoyable or not, you know?
Yeah.
And so, given that meaning and purpose, we're going to go into an existential reflection. How do you think your current attitudes or behaviors or choices affect the purpose of your children being your purpose? How would you say how you feel about life, or how you feel about work, or how you feel about stress, or how you show up in life or show up in work? How do you think those current choices and attitudes affect your purpose being there for your children?
Um, I mean, everything that I have going on, I have to like choose wisely as far as like what I have the time and availability for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's to the point where it's getting kind of like difficult for me to be able to manage that. And that's why I was like I mentioned earlier, I need some help like with time management. So right now I'm feeling like really unorganized and it's like really bothering me. But again, like with the work stress that I have when I'm getting off of work and then the things that I have to do after work with the kids or the dogs or whatever, um, I'm finding that I'm having a hard time just mentally processing all of my responsibilities because I'm already so stressed,
Mm-hmm.
like with everything I have going on at work. And I'm sorry, there was another part to that.
No,
Can
you
you,
actually answered that beautifully.
okay.
Your purposeful meaning, as you say, is your two daughters. And right now you're feeling that maybe the way you show up in terms of behavior of time management and your attitude towards being stressed and trying to manage that time, you may feel is affecting that purpose, which is your children and your quality of time of being with them and being around them. Does that
Right.
kind of sum up about what you're feeling there?
Yes.
Okay. So tying into our last aspect, responsibility awareness. Now that we have identified what is meaningful in your life and the effect of the behaviors and the attitudes that you have going in towards that meaning and that purpose, responsibility awareness is essentially just an awareness of how your actions and your behaviors are your ultimate responsibility and how they affect those things that you hold valuable. And so, just in a complete moment of honesty, do you feel that there is anything, or do you feel times at where you might feel that your idea of being responsible for your actions maybe isn't relevant in that moment or isn't aware in that moment because the stress is so high and the feeling of being disorganized in time? Do you feel that maybe you have a moment where your responsibility to your choices doesn't feel as imminent or as prevalent in that moment?
Um, yeah, I mean, most definitely. I don't feel like myself in general right
Okay.
now. So I'm just all over the place, to be honest. I don't feel good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of just mental confusion, feeling split between a lot of different things where you really can't show up mentally
Right.
to be there, to think, to evaluate, and to process, and to be in the moment because your mind is multiple other places still trying to figure
Right.
things out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay.
very overwhelming. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. This is great information, great details, so we can continue to build your plan further into the future in our sessions. And so, what I would like to do is just assign a little bit of homework, and that term is super lighthearted. This is not something that you have to do. This is not something that is going to require time or effort, anything of that nature. All I ask is just to take small mental notes throughout the day so that when we meet next session, I have just a little bit more detail of things that you're experiencing in real time. And so that we can continue to build off of those. So, no more than just mental note. If you're someone who finds it easier to jot down on a little sticky note, that's completely fine as well. The idea of this is certainly for you to not feel like there's another task. So, if it gets to that point, complete
Okay.
it, forget about it. And then when we meet next time, we will discuss further and work off of memory. Okay. So the idea here is not to stress yourself out or think that you have another thing to deliver on. Um, and so,
Okay.
with that being said, I just want you to try to find brief moments of intentional time, whether it's maybe in the shower or maybe a few minutes before you lay your head down on the pillow, or maybe while you're drinking coffee or sitting there eating breakfast. It can be seconds. It doesn't have to be minutes. It doesn't have to be hours. Nothing crazy. And in those windows, I just want you to remind yourself, what is my purpose? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And a central theme was your daughters. Your daughters are your driving force. And so, while this idea is not the cure all and it is not going to wipe away your problems, it is a little bit of a hopeful thought to bring you back to the center of why, what for. Kind of like the relief you feel when you said exercising would help at times, walking the dog would help at times, especially in moments where you find yourself at work, you're overloaded, you can't escape work, you can't just let the task go. Maybe just a remembrance of your daughters. Why am I here? Why am I at this job? Why am I doing this? And so your homework is essentially to try to implement those microseconds of just remembering yourself about your daughters and why, and just evaluate, did it help? That's all. Just try to remember that when you can. And next week, just let me know. I have tried it this time and I tried it this time. And yes, it worked here and it didn't work here. And then we'll explore why did it work there and why did it not work there? Or maybe it worked all the time, or maybe it worked none of the time. So no wrong answers here, just honest evaluation, microseconds, nothing too crazy. Don't stress yourself out.
Okay.
And so we will meet next week. We'll review any of the homework details that you can bring in and just how that process went. We'll deep dive a little bit further into more of the time management aspect. That way we can try to get a little bit more of a detail of your schedule and maybe ways that we can help with that. But trying to also find those mental notes that can uplift your mood whenever you are feeling like there is no time and you can't create time. So but I want to thank you. And do you have any questions for me?
No, no, I don't. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay, well, I thank you so much and I'll see you next week, Candace. Take care.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.